The phone on Charlotte's sofa vibrated twice. She glanced at the screen, an unknown number, and answered.
Hello?
Miss Vance, this is William Cross from Cross Bank Compliance. I need to confirm the details of your recent cash-out refinance.
Cash out refinance? That didn't make any sense.
Specifically, a $145,000 loan against the property at 114 Sycamore Lane. Did you authorize that?
I never refinanced. I don't know what you're talking about.
We have your signature on file, ma'am. 14 separate places.
The number spun in her head. $145,000 against her home. A home she'd bought at 26, on her own.
This has to be a mistake. It has to be.
She ended the call, her grip white-knuckled on the phone. The silence afterward was louder than the ring she had answered. 2 years earlier, Charlotte was 26 and sitting at a title company table, pen in hand, ready to buy her first home, a modest 3-bedroom on Sycamore Lane. She had saved for years, and the moment felt almost surreal.
I can't believe I am finally doing this.
Couldn't have done it without your old man co-signing, huh?
This is mine. Really mine.
When the ink dried, the title officer handed George a thick envelope containing every signed page.
I'll put these with the rest of the family records. You never know when you might need them.
Charlotte was too thrilled to question it. Her father was careful. That's why she'd asked him to co-sign. A photo from that afternoon, later framed, captured her holding the keys, beaming with unguarded joy. She didn't know those documents would seed a betrayal, but on that day, she felt only pride. 2 years slipped away. George sat at his kitchen table surrounded by bills, a calculator, and a notice from the IRS addressed to Donna.
This tax debt is eating us alive, and I've got nothing left after the last round of repairs.
In his thoughts, there was also a sleek white boat, sun on the water, a reward he told himself he'd earned.
That house on Sycamore, Charlotte's house, I co-signed. My name is on those papers too.
He retrieved the thick envelope of closing documents from the filing cabinet, the same ones he'd walked away with 2 years ago.
A little cash-out refi. Nobody gets hurt. The equity is just sitting there.
George, you can't do that without Charlotte. Can you?
She'll never need to know. I am her father. I helped her get that house. This is just using what's mine.
Donna said nothing else, but her silence was a kind of permission, and that was all George needed. By the time the sun set, the idea had hardened into a plan. The documents lay open, and a pen waited beside them. The next morning, George walked into the bank with the envelope of documents and a steady hand.
I need to talk about a cash-out refinance on a property I co-signed. The primary borrower can't make it today, but I have all the paperwork.
The loan officer handed him the application, and George began filling in Charlotte's name where hers belonged.
Yes, she's aware. She'll sign everything once we get to the closing table.
Page after page, he replicated her signature, a practiced, deliberate act, 14 times across the loan package. The bank processed the loan without suspicion. After all, George Vance was a co-signer, and the documents looked legitimate. Weeks later, at the closing, George sat alone and signed Charlotte's name on the final settlement statement, as if it were his own.
Almost done. Just one more page.
The funding was authorized, and a cashier's check for $145,000 was issued, payable to George Vance. He walked out of the bank with the envelope, the weight of the fraud already forgotten behind him. Charlotte's days were ordinary. She made coffee, paid bills, and never imagined a second mortgage layered over her home. George acted fast. He wired $68,000 to the IRS, wiping out Donna's debt with money that wasn't his. What remained bought a boat, a sleek Saturday toy, and the illusion of a problem solved. 3 months later, routine protocol triggered a review. A compliance alert flared in the legal department. The file landed on William Cross's desk. He treated every anomaly like a loose thread. He opened the refinance file and began the standard checklist. Names, dates, signatures. One form required verbal confirmation with all parties. His finger stopped at Charlotte's name. The call was scheduled for the next morning. The quiet machinery had finally caught up. On a Friday, William dialed the number on the application. The phone rang. Charlotte answered. Unknowing her life was about to split in two, William pressed the call button and brought the receiver to his ear.
Miss Vance, this is William Cross from Cross Bank Compliance. I am calling about a cash-out refinance we processed on 114 Sycamore Lane.
There's been a mistake. I never refinanced anything. You must have the wrong person.
I have your signature on 14 separate pages, ma'am. Are you saying these aren't yours?
I've never seen those papers. Whoever signed them wasn't me.
The line went quiet. William sat forward, the calm of routine replaced by a cold certainty.
This isn't a misunderstanding. She denied it outright.
He ended the call without ceremony and flagged the file with a fraud alert that locked it from further processing. Then he dialed the internal fraud unit. His voice low and clipped. Within minutes, a red banner labeled "Frozen" fraud investigation blinked on the screen. The bank had activated its defensive protocols. The phone went still in Charlotte's hand, but her mind refused to settle. She called the bank's main line, demanding to speak with William Cross again.
I need copies of every page you have with my name on it. Send them to my email right now.
Of course. But you should know, this file has been flagged for fraud. The investigation is already active.
She moved to her desk, opened her laptop, and clicked the email labeled Refinance Documents 114 Sycamore Lane. The PDF loaded, page after page of signatures, her name, written in a hand that wasn't her own.
14 pages. 14 forgeries. This is deliberate.
The strokes were heavier on the loops, compressed on the curves, a careful imitation that was unmistakably not her own.
Who had access to my original closing papers? Who would know to use them now?
The answer fell into place with brutal clarity. Her father had kept a copy. George Vance had done this.
He co-signed to help me. Then he used it to betray me.
William forwarded the complete file to the bank's forensic handwriting unit without delay. A senior examiner placed the refi signature pages beside Charlotte's known authentic signatures from the original closing. Under magnification, the differences surfaced. Pressure, slant, the tiny hesitations in the loops.
If the forensics confirm fraud, we move immediately. If not, we owe an apology, but my gut says she's telling the truth.
Inside the fraud unit, a team gathered around a conference table. The loan was officially frozen, its status locked against any release of funds. William called Charlotte again, his tone careful but direct.
Miss Vance, I've initiated a forensic handwriting comparison. It takes a few days, but it will produce a definitive report.
A forensic report. They're treating this as a crime. This is actually happening.
I'll update you as soon as we have results. In the meantime, do not contact anyone about this, especially not any potential subject.
The net was tightening, one scientific comparison at a time. The forensic report landed in William's inbox on a Tuesday morning. He opened it without hesitation. 14 of 23. Signature blocks are forgeries, consistent with a single writer attempting to replicate the authentic handwriting of Charlotte Vance. He immediately forwarded it to Charlotte with a brief note. This is your evidence. Use it.
14 times. He sat there and wrote my name 14 times.
Her hands trembled as she printed the pages. The betrayal had tangible weight now.
I have to go to the police.
An hour later, she walked into the precinct, the folder under her arm.
I need to report a fraud. My father, George Vance, forged my signature on a cash-out refinance.
She placed the report on the counter. The officer glanced at the highlighted pages, then reached for an intake form. The box for forgery was checked. A case number was assigned. George Vance was officially a criminal suspect. The bank's fraud unit convened a final review. Every piece of evidence pointed the same direction. They stamped the file, fraud confirmed, and authorized a full reversal of the $145,000 loan. A certified letter was dispatched to George Vance's home address. His name on the envelope, the bank's logo above it.
What the hell is this?
He scanned the paragraphs. Fraud investigation. Forged signatures. immediate reversal of funds.
They can't connect this to me. I was careful. I'll say it was a clerical error.
He folded the letter with a trembling hand and set it on the counter.
Donna, don't worry. It's just a misunderstanding. I'll call tomorrow and fix it.
But his expression told a different story. The mask of control had cracked. The bank's machinery was already in motion. There was no misunderstanding to fix. 2 hours after the letter arrived, George picked up his phone and dialed Charlotte's number.
Charlotte, it's Dad. Listen, there's been a mix-up at the bank. Nothing to worry about.
There's no mix-up. I have 14 forged pages in front of me, and a forensic report that says you signed them.
I was going to tell you. It was for family emergencies. Donna's tax debt. The house needed repairs. I thought you'd understand.
The excuse was as hollow as the man giving it. Charlotte's voice didn't waver.
You stole from me. You forged my name. And now the bank is reversing the loan. There's nothing to fix, Dad.
If you push this, you'll ruin me. Is that what you want? To destroy your own father over paperwork?
There was a silence, then the click of the line disconnecting.
You ruined yourself the moment you picked up that pen.
Within an hour, William forwarded the forensic report to Charlotte's attorney. The police officially opened a criminal investigation. The police executed a warrant for George Vance's bank records within 48 hours. Meanwhile, the bank's reversal team assembled to unwind the fraudulent $145,000 refinance. The money trail was immediate. $68,000 to the IRS, wiping out Donna's tax debt and most of the remainder to a boat dealership.
The cash out was spent in under a week. We can't reverse a void.
The title insurer was notified, and a claim was opened. The $145,000 was now a debt owed by George, not the bank. The bank's legal team convened to discuss recovery options. The IRS payment presented a rare path.
Federal tax debt has lien priority. If the IRS intercepts Donna's future refunds, we can claw back a portion.
The strategy was approved. Notices were sent, and a lien was filed against Donna's tax identification number. On paper, the $145,000 began moving in reverse, but recovery was far from certain. The IRS system would take months to intercept a refund. Until then, the debt hovered over George's life like a guillotine. The district attorney's office reviewed the file and moved quickly. George Vance was charged with 2 felony counts, bank fraud and forgery. An arrest warrant was issued the same afternoon. The search for him was now a matter of public record. A detective called Charlotte that evening. Her voice was steady, but the words landed like a second blow.
He's not just a liar anymore. He's a felon.
She thanked the detective and hung up, then sat in the silence of her living room, letting the news settle into her bones.
I didn't make him do this. He chose it. Every signature, every lie.
The local paper ran a brief item the next day. Her father's name was printed below a headline she never wanted to see. Charlotte read it once, then folded the newspaper and set it aside. No tears, no rage, just a cold stillness.
My father is a criminal suspect. That's the truth now.
The warrant remained active. George Vance was a wanted man, and Charlotte Vance was the state's key witness. The arrest happened on a quiet Wednesday morning. Without struggle and without audience, George was led from his own front door in handcuffs, his expression unreadable. Donna stood alone in the kitchen, both hands pressed to her mouth.
What have you done, George?
Charlotte learned of the arrest through a brief clinical call from the detective.
He's in a cell now because of what he did. I won't visit. I won't pay a penny for his lawyer. I won't take a single call.
She walked through her quiet house, blocking numbers one by one. His voice would not reach her again. 100 miles away, George sat alone on a holding cell bench, the fluorescent light unsparing. The boundary was set in permanent ink. The man who forged her name was no longer her father. By the end of the week, the bank filed the final paperwork to reverse the $145,000 refinance. On paper, the loan vanished. Charlotte's title was restored, her name the only one on the deed, but the cash was gone. The $145,000 debt now sat squarely on George Vance, pursued by the title insurer.
The insurer's claim is active. Recovery will proceed through any available channel.
The IRS payment trail was undeniable. The bank petitioned the Treasury to intercept Donna Vance's future refunds. A formal lien was filed against her tax identification number, linking her refund to the fraud recovery.
Federal law gives the IRS priority. Any refund she expects will be offset until the debt is satisfied.
The process was mechanical, slow, and irreversible. A quiet clawback from the one who had benefited. Charlotte received a brief update from William. No triumph, just a quiet, factual note. The $145,000 was beginning its journey back. But the road was long, and no one could say when it would end. 6 months after the lien filing, the IRS intercepted Donna's $12,000 tax refund. A notice arrived at the small rental property George owned in the next county. The bank moved to foreclose on that asset. The collateral George had pledged without a second thought. The property was listed and sold at auction within 90 days. The proceeds covered $133,000 of the debt. Charlotte received the update in a single paragraph email from William.
The lien worked. His rental is gone, and my house is finally clear.
No satisfaction crossed her face, only the faint straightening of her spine, as though a weight had been quietly lifted. Donna, by contrast, stood in the same kitchen that had once smelled of coffee and now held only silence.
We had a life. Now there's nothing left.
The boat was repossessed the same month. Every piece of the fraud was being called back, one asset at a time. The criminal case ended with a plea. George admitted to bank fraud and forgery in exchange for a suspended sentence and probation. For Donna, the sentence was different. A life emptied of everything she'd relied on. She sat alone, the kitchen too quiet now. She pulled a pale pink envelope from a drawer. The pen moved slowly, forming words of apology she had never spoken aloud.
I am sorry for everything. I should have stopped him.
She sealed the envelope, pressed a stamp into the corner, and walked it to the mailbox. The card arrived on a Tuesday, mixed with bills and a grocery flyer. Charlotte found it when she unlocked the door. She turned it over twice, her thumb brushing the sealed flap. No name on the back, but she knew the handwriting.
If I open this, I let them back in.
But she didn't open it. Not yet. She set it on the counter and walked away, the weight of unread words heavier than any she had ever spoken. Late that evening, Charlotte returned to the kitchen. The envelope sat where she'd left it, untouched.
One tear, and I'd know everything she never said aloud.
Her fingertip traced the sealed flap, finding the edge where it would give.
But knowing won't change what he did. It won't undo a single signature.
She pulled her hand back, as if the paper held heat. The seal remained unbroken.
This card is their last door. If I open it, I am inviting them back.
The decision settled in her chest, quiet, unshakable, like a latch clicking shut.
It goes to the thrift store, unopened. Someone else can have it.
She didn't feel guilt. She felt the absence of weight, as though a debt she never owed had been canceled. The envelope lay on the table, sealed not by glue, but by a choice that would hold longer than any apology. Saturday morning was bright and ordinary. Charlotte drove to the thrift store on Maple, the envelope resting on the passenger seat. She parked near the drop-off bins and walked up. The card still sealed, still silent.
It's just paper. Words I'll never read.
She stood before the donation bin, the metal flap cool under her fingers.
Donna's last words. And I am not going to read them.
Without pause, she pushed the envelope through the slot. It fell without a sound, vanishing among worn sweaters and old books. She didn't look back. Her steps were even, unhurried, her gaze already on the street ahead.
All of it stays there. The fraud, the forgery, the apologies.
By the time she reached her car, the lightness in her chest felt foreign and earned. The card was gone. The door was closed. And for the first time in months, Charlotte was free. A few weeks later, the county registrar mailed the corrected deed. Charlotte Vance was the sole name on the title. The fraudulent refinance fully expunged. The lien against the property was released. There would be no second mortgage, no hidden debt. George moved into a one-bedroom apartment on the south side of town, a small, unremarkable building that asked no questions. He was seen there sometimes sitting on the steps, a man diminished to his ordinary size. Donna filed for legal separation before the summer ended. The papers were signed in the same kitchen where she had once watched him plan. Charlotte received the final mortgage statement a week later, forwarded by William with a single line. "This is what your record looks like now."
It's just my name now, the way it should have stayed.
She slid the key into the front door that evening, the lock turning with a familiar quiet click. The house settled around her, walls and windows that held no secret debts, only the quiet evidence of a life rebuilt. Outside, the street lamps flickered on, and the name on the deed was the only one that mattered. She turned the deadbolt and let the familiar click settle into the hallway. The house was silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator.
No hidden payments, no forged signatures, just my life.
She walked through the living room, her fingers brushing the back of the sofa. On the coffee table, the photo from closing day still smiled back at her. She picked it up, then set it down gently, as if closing a book. In the kitchen, she poured a cup of coffee, the steam rising in the quiet.
He thought he could steal this, but it's still here. I'm still here.
She sat on the sofa, the mug warm between her palms, a slight private curve at the corner of her mouth. Not a smile for anyone else, just the quiet satisfaction of a safe bet that had finally paid off. The lamp in the corner cast a warm circle onto the floor, and Charlotte remained in its edge.
Forgiveness was never the point. Owning what's mine was.
She didn't need to open an envelope to know she had chosen herself.
He thought the house would sink me. It's the lifeboat I built.
The coffee had cooled, but she didn't move to reheat it. Stillness was no longer something to fear.
Let him sit in his apartment. Let Donna find her own way.
Outside, the world was dark and ordinary. Inside, everything was hers.
14 forgeries. One signature that finally mattered. My own refusal.
What survived the fraud was the quiet, immovable knowledge that no one else's hand would ever write her name again. And with that, she lifted her gaze, meeting the lens with a smile that belonged entirely to her. Fade to black.